You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. And be sure to smash that like button. LSU is back on the practice field on Tuesday, day 5. Brian Kelly met with reporters afterwards. And one of the things that has struck me so far watching LSU offensively has been the receivers. And I know they lost Neighbors and Thomas, and so that was a big conversation. But my contention has been LSU has always had and will always have guys that are tall, that can run fast and jump high and catch the ball, and they're always going to be really good because LSU has always recruited the receiver position really well because this state produces great athletes. Just look through the list of Jarvis and Odell and Brian Thomas and Malik Neighbors and all the way back to Josh Reed and Michael Clayton, and just go through the list. I mean, it's an endless list of amazing, talented receivers from this state because this state produces them, and Kyron Lacy's the next one. And Chris Hilton's there as well. And you brought in C.J. Daniels, who was a 1,000-yard receiver, and you brought in Xavion Thomas, who led Mississippi State in receiving, oh, by the way, from Louisiana. And then so far, through this early part of practice, 5 practices, of which the media has seen 4, what has stood out so much to me is how many guys they're getting involved in the passing game. The very first day, the very first 7-on-7 drill we saw, Shelton Sampson had 2 giant catches. Yesterday, in the 11-on-11 team period, Kyle Parker, back-to-back plays in that 2-minute drill. They threw with the ones, Kyle Parker making catches. Trades Green, Kamorian Pimpton has made plays with the ones as well. So it's the guys we talk about. The last 2 days, Chris Hilton has been unconscious. Literally the first play we saw today. Now I'm not saying it was the first play of the day. It's the first play we saw as we walk in. Chris Hilton on a slant, over the top, Nuss throws a strike, Hilton takes it to the house. There is no shortage of incredible talent. But what's interesting is how many different guys are getting reps with the first team. It's not just Lacy, Hilton, Daniels, who it's pretty obvious are the first 3. But so many of those guys are getting reps. So I asked Brian Kelly why. Why are so many different guys taking reps with the ones? Here's what he said.
There's so many other players that will play roles in some fashion. And I think what we feel like is that if you've got 3 guys that you feel really confident in, let's get all those guys, work with that first group and get some continuity with the quarterback. So if Nuss is out there and, Aaron's out there, or, we have a rotation that has, 2 or 3 tight ends, he feels comfortable with all those receivers. So it's not just the second group that's getting that work. So we felt like it was important to get all those guys work with the first group because I want Nuss to see all those guys because he's probably going to throw to all of them at some time.
I mean, you started mentioning Aaron Anderson. It's a guy that I forgot to even mention. There's so many of them that continue to make big play after big play. And then it was also interesting because one of the guys we've obviously talked about a bunch is Trades Green, and then also Kamorian Pimpton, who the last 2 days has had really big days. And here was Brian Kelly talking about those 2 young tight ends.
Both of them have made really good progress. I think KP Pimpton has been really good as well the last 2 practices in particular. His consistency in run blocking, his consistency in catching the football assignments have been really good. And then I thought, by and large, Trades has assimilated as a true freshman as well as we could have expected. Again, considering somebody that hasn't played a lot of football either, really pleased. They're both going to play for us, and they're both going to have a role. I can imagine this one being such that, you could potentially see all those guys, including Mason, on the field together.
That would be fascinating, by the way, if you saw 3 tight ends, which, by the way, isn't crazy. I mean, Mason Taylor is awesome. And both Kamorian Pimpton and Trades Green can play a flex tight end receiver spot. You can do it. And I'm just thinking what that looks like around the goal line. I mean, I don't know how you cover 2 guys that are 6'6" and 6'7" with that type of wingspan and leaping ability. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. But the point is, the best way I can say this, and I'm going to continue to say it this way, I know who the top guys are, and it's very clear. Kyron Lacey, Chris Hilton, CJ Daniels are your most veteran, most polished, most physical. Like, you go out there and you go, okay, I get it. But you continue to see all these other guys make plays. And so you ask yourself, like, how do you justify keeping them on the sideline? Like, you've got to get all of these guys reps at different points. And so I think that's the real challenge for Joe Sloan and for this offensive staff, is to find ways to give them roles. And I'm going to say this is the way I'm saying it. Like, I'm not telling you Kamorian Pimpton or Tradez Green are going to go out there and have 50 catches this year, or Shelton Sampson or Kyle Parker. I'm not. The reps aren't there. The targets aren't there, because you're going to feed Lacey and Hilton and Daniels. Like, those are going to be, and Mason Taylor. Like, those are going to be your guys.
Mason Taylor!
But I also don't know how you're going to go a full season without having some kind of role for Kamorian Pimpton and Tradez Green and Shelton Sampson, and Aaron Anderson and Xavion Thomas, because they're too good. They're too good and they're too versatile. So that really is going to be the challenge. Almost a 180 from a year ago, where Jaden Daniels was so awesome running the ball that it almost just became a crutch. Like, okay, just let 5 do what 5 does because he's awesome. And this year, it's not just one guy. It's a whole bunch of guys. Last year, it was Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas. Like, those 3 dudes, just go score 50 a game. And they did, all the time. This year, there's just so much talent there. And Joe Sloan's got to figure out a way to use all of that talent and integrate it to make sure that you're versatile in that respect. And it was interesting because Kyron Lacey on Monday met with reporters, and they asked him, like, point blank, if he felt like the number one receiver amid so much talent.
I feel like it's a collection of guys. Every day we compete. Everybody's competing in that room. Everybody, like from freshmen to seniors to sophomores, it doesn't matter. We all competing, and we want to dominate every rep we get out there. So we take advantage of every rep we can.
It feels that way. I mean, sometimes you hear, like, coaches speak through players. Sometimes you hear something that sounds and feels like cliches. Like, that's not a cliche. Play that again. It's 16 seconds, but listen to it again.
I feel like it's a collection of guys. Every day we compete. Everybody's competing in that room. Everybody, like from freshmen to seniors to sophomores, it doesn't matter. We all competing, and we want to dominate every rep we get out there. So we take advantage of every rep we can.
They are doing that. Like, I'll tell you, today, there were Ricky Collins on Tuesday got 2 reps with the first team. So they were in the 11-on-11 period, and Nuss ran his reps, and then Collins went in and got 2 reps with the ones, and then stayed in. I'll tell you exactly how many. So Collins went in, got 2 reps with the ones, and then ran 3 reps with the 2. So we got 5 reps, but 2 with the ones, 3 with the 2s. The first rep, when the 2s came in, deep right to Kyle Parker. Kyle Parker dusted Jair Brown. Like, beautiful route, flat outran him. And Ricky Collins put it on him. I mean, a beautiful pass. 30, 40 yards downfield. I mean, a beautiful pass. And Kyle Parker dropped it. And so you look at that and you go, Kyle Parker had a great day yesterday. Had 2 big catches in that 2-minute drill period that they did. But then you followed up with a drop right there and you go, man, you better be consistent, because there is so much talent at that receiver spot. Everybody vying for reps and targets. And it will be fascinating to see how that all plays out once you do get the fall, to see how Joe Sloan works all these different guys into the offense. By the way, Joe Sloan on Wednesday meeting with reporters after practice. That's going to be my question to him. Like, there's so many mouths to feed. Like, how do you keep everybody fed? I don't even know that it's possible. But I'll ask him. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.